Hi, how are you doing? My name is Rohit and I'll be breaking down the 44th match of this year's IPL, which saw the Delhi Capitals taking on the Mumbai Indians in the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi. And we saw another shootout and we saw another narrow margin of victory. Delhi scores 257, wins by 10 runs, and now all of a sudden they're at 10 points. And want to something funny? In the past, 10 runs used to be a pretty solid margin of victory. Now it's practically nothing. And Delhi still has a negative net run rate despite having 5 wins already on the season, which tells me two things. One, their margins of defeat have been incredibly massive, and looking back at Delhi's matches, that's been true. Uh, a couple of weeks ago, their loss against the Sunrisers Hyderabad was ridiculously massive. I don't remember how many runs it was, but it had to be at least over 60, 70, something like that. But beyond just that, it also tells me that what we used to consider big margins of victory are no longer that big. They no longer have that much of an impact on net run rate. And so now it's just a matter of how many points can you rack up. Delhi's played 10 matches already and they're at 10 points. Even if they win all their matches, they only get up to 18. And keep in mind, there are a lot of teams that have only played 8 or 9 matches, meaning that extra match that Delhi's already played it goes against them in terms of the playoff race right now, which again is kind of scary to think about because when you after 10 games, if you have 10 points, usually if you win 3 of your last 4, you have pretty good odds to make the playoffs. But now, even if Delhi wins all 4, we don't know if Delhi's even going to be able to make the playoffs. Which also goes to show how ridiculous the IPL's been this year because we have a lot of teams at 10 points and only a very limited amount of playoff spots. But enough of that soapbox. Let's actually get into the game. And Delhi has finally found their template, and it's come in the form of Jake Fraser McGurk. Again, 84 from 27 on top of the order, and he absolutely bosses the power play. And we see another 90-plus score in the power play. Delhi scores 92 in the power play, ends up scoring 257. Abhishek Patel just was the anchor as the other players around him were more aggressive. Again, Fraser McGurk, 84 from 27. Amazing. Shea Hope comes in, 41 from 17. He's also solid. And then after that, it becomes the Tristan Stubbs things. He has been a revelation at the back end for Delhi. Delhi, for years, has been missing quality, consistent back end hitting. In the past, Delhi mainly just relied on Rishabh Pant to carry his bat through and then accelerate at the back end. Now, with Tristan Stubbs around, that's no longer what Pant has to do. Pant can assess the situation much better, no longer has to be the sole stabilizing force. If he can be aggressive, he can be aggressive. If he needs to stay more conservative, he can do that. He's more flexible to adapt to the match situation now because Delhi finally has some back-end hitting. And Stubbs shows it again, 48 from 25. Again, impressive all around from Delhi. And what's more concerning, if anything, and also impressive, but concerning if you're a Mumbai fan, Jasprit Bumrah did not bowl below 6 runs and over. 4 overs, 35 runs, 1 wicket, an economy rate of just below 9. And that's kind of hilarious to say when everybody else around him went for runs. But Jasprit Bumrah, and I've said this before, has been the sole reason Mumbai Indians have had wins this year because of his absurdly phenomenal bowling. And when he starts to go for runs, and when your economy rate is still below 9, but that's considered going for runs, that is kind of wild, but I digress. You have some issues at hand in terms of bowling, and Mumbai's bowling weaknesses continue to show up time and again. But what also showed up was Mumbai's approach to this chase was poor, objectively. And when you're chasing a score above 250, you have to be on it from out the gate. Does that mean you can lose wickets? That's probably going to happen. You're going to be aggressive. When you're aggressive, you tend to take more risks. When you take more risks, you tend to lose more wickets. That's par for the course, but if everybody keeps scoring around you, something's going to happen. And Mumbai kept losing wickets, but they didn't score enough runs to start. Delhi scored 92 in their power play. Mumbai only scored 60. And normally, 60 is a good power play score. But in this match, that's nowhere near enough. And it all starts with their top order just not firing as they needed to. Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma combined 28 from only 22. That is not going to fly, especially in, again, a supermassive chase when the required run rate before you even come out to bat is at nearly 13. And you're barely above 1.5 runs per ball. Rohit Sharma in particular was disappointing in this regard. 8 from 8 at a strike rate precisely run a ball, and his poor start hampered Mumbai's start. Then you get to numbers 3, 4, and 5 being Suryakumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, and Hardik Pandya, and they do what they can to get Mumbai back into this. But after that start that Delhi got with the ball, it was a very massive uphill battle to climb. And they all contribute well. 26 from 13 for Suryakumar, 63 from 32 from Tilak Verma, 46 from 24 for Hardik Pandya. All three understood the situation. All three played accordingly. Ultimately, there were just too many runs left on the board because of just how poorly Mumbai started in relation to the number of runs on the board. Tim David comes in at the back end, does what he can. But again, there's just too many runs on the board, and with some good bowling, Delhi wins this by 10 runs. But it kind of goes to show that you need consistency if you want to chase these down. If you lack the consistency, you're going to get close, like Mumbai did today, but you're not going to win. So I want to compare this to the Punjab match we saw yesterday, where Punjab successfully chased down a higher score than this, 261. In that game, they had a high-flying 50, a stabilizing but equally high-flying century, and then another blistering half-century at the end. So you combine that, and you get a properly balanced approach to the chase. The problem is, Mumbai only had one half-centurion, and nobody else really got too many other than Hardik Pandya, Tim David, and Suryakumar Yadav. And even then, they did not score enough because, well, they lost. But they didn't have that sort of stability from top to bottom. It was just everybody just tried to score. Nobody could just score enough or be there long enough to score more. Everybody kept getting out in an effort to accelerate because the run rate kept climbing because while they were scoring, yes, they weren't scoring enough to keep pace until the very end. And at that point, it's just too little too late. You really can't do much about that. Which now puts Mumbai in a very desperate situation. They're at 9th with only 6 points and a very poor net run rate. And their hopes of making the playoffs are fading very fast. With that, thank you so much for watching. I don't know how to keep covering these sort of high-scoring shootouts. It's, again, I've said this a million times before. It's getting ridiculous. And I'm going to try my best to keep finding ways to make these novel because the novelty of the high-scoring match is honestly fading. I'm not going to lie. But I would be lying if I said these matches weren't entertaining. So again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. And with that, I'll be back for the next one. Have a good one.